coming.
Here, let me.
They can't hear me, right?
Yes, they can.
Okay. All right. So pretend it's radio. Besides, you're not missing much. Look at my face. I'm a ghoul. So we're good. They're good. They'll probably get more viewers because of this. Everyone go sub to, or what's it? It's not subbing on Twitch. It's follow, right?
Well, there's follows and subs, but yeah.
Either one. The Order 42. The link is in the description. Let's try to get. Where are you at on followers?
I have 82 followers.
We're gonna get him to 100 followers tonight.
Oh my gosh,
we're gonna get Rob, who made a lot of sacrifices to help work on our movie for you guys. If you are on Twitch, if you have a Twitch channel, go follow Rob, please. And that's just as a thank you.
I appreciate that. Dang it, I'm on the wrong. Here's what I was gonna pull up an image of you and just put. Here, there we go. That's a good image. Let's see. Bam.
So apparently everything's just going right tonight because my stream is apparently lagging big time, and it could be the storms, but I'm going to lower the kilobytes per second and see if that helps.
Image.
Because it actually looks good on my end. It's giving me green, so I lowered the.
Good on.
Okay.
Yeah, everything's good on my end. I think. Desktop.
Can we have farts? Yes.
Hey, there he is. I have an image of you on screen. Hey.
It's like I'm in some kind of war zone bringing in a report, and they bring it in the news. They just have like a photograph of the person.
Yeah.
And actually show you what's going on, but it's carnage. It's complete carnage.
Let's make this even better. Let's actually make it fit the.
Did you probably got the worst photo of me too? Like,
no, it's not bad.
There's photos of me on Google. Like I'm drunk.
Oh, I know. There's all kinds of pictures, but there you go.
Okay.
That works. Hey.
Okay.
Hey, it works.
All right. Seriously, guys, we're getting to 100 followers today. So
well,
all right.
I just got let's see, Nexus 6 Batty and Fox Mulder 31014. Thank you. And actually, 6 hours ago, GG Moto followed. So, thank you guys.
Excellent. So he's got a ton of interviews, and he interviews people, in the film industry. He's a big movie. What kind of describe for you guys, for our people who don't know who you are in the chat? And I guess I'm the one doing the interview now. But after you answer that, we will start with the actual interview that you were actually going to do on your show. Dat Natural, thank you very much for that tip. Yeah. So Rob, what do you do on your show?
This show is more about, well, those guys are the gamers, right? I'm a gamer, but I'm more of a movie guy. So it's kind of like, like Billy's a gamer and then a movie guy, and then I'm like this, it's like as far as my channel goes. As far as my channel goes,
I'm more like that, but I see your point.
Yeah. So
as far as the channel goes, yes, sure.
Right. We focus on the movies here, but I do dabble in the little game stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm getting follows like crazy. Daniel Quintana, Jimmy Fett, thank you.
Thank you guys. Hey, what's up, Albert?
But yeah, I mean it's a fun show.
By the end of the night, you'll have 100. So we'll get you there. All right, so let's go. Let's do this interview. Let's get crazy. Let's get crazy. This is going to be an expose. This is going to be me exposing a lot of stuff.
Well, okay, so I mean, I've known you for what, 26 years or
26 years. I first met you when I was 16.
Yeah, at Kroger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was a checker, cashier, whatever, and you were a sacker, or maybe I was
a sack boy, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time, and then we worked at Blockbuster together. Oh my gosh, there's another John 2727. Thank you guys, I really appreciate that.
Long time. Yeah. And we've been friends ever since. It was, on the one hand, it does seem like so long ago, but the other hand, it's like, oh damn, It goes by real quick. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it really is insane. And of course, just as anybody else, your friends come and go, out of your life, and they come back and then they leave for a while, and so we lost touch for a little bit. I
Yeah.
got really sick, and then yeah, you guys kind of came back into my life last year with
Yeah.
the Kickstarter. That's where I kind of started.
What's
So
up, Frankly? How you doing, man?
Ambilek,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, apparently, so you got some questions and stuff. So I guess we'll do this.
Yeah, so okay, so the Game Chasers movie is currently being edited. There's some reshoot slash pickup shots that need to be done. Bucho, hi, how's it going? Ambilek, again, thank you for the follow. But production wise, production from start to finish, for you right now, what's been the toughest part outside of COVID? Because that's too easy.
I mean, and it goes without saying, right?
Yeah.
So I would say the toughest part would be the not the conceiving part. I mean, I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but the executing it on the filming side, because there's so many things out of your control that you can't control, and things that you can't anticipate, and a lot of it has to do with budget. So if you don't have enough money to, for instance, one day we shot it, the temperature dropped down to what 35 degrees, almost snowing, and it got dark really sooner because of that. We lost like an extra hour of daylight because of the clouds and stuff, storms and stuff rolling in, and it just was we ruined the day was pretty much ruined. Um, and not having the budget to be like, okay, we're gonna have makeup days, because every day we shoot, there's like thousands of dollars that we paid for the cast and crew. So, well, mainly the crew. The cast isn't really that, but so it was overcoming that. See it not getting the exact locations that you want to get, me having a vision in my head, this is what I want it to look like, but just simply not being able to find that what you can get, and having to work with what the only thing that you have to work with, and it's just not lining up exactly with the way you see it in your head, because you fall in love with an image in your head, you fall in love with an idea, and if you can't make that happen, it sucks. So I think that absolutely that is the conceiving it, rolling into the shooting it is the hardest part for sure. Editing's, I mean, I'm not going to say it's easy, but I have way more control. I have 100% control over that. Shooting, it's too many outside elements that I don't have control over.
Um, and I agree. I mean that there were so many different compromises, like daily, that we had to deal with, on set, where it was just like that's not exactly what we had in mind, but
Yeah,
yeah. But
absolutely. It's just part of it. Like, everyone who goes through that sort of, shoots a movie, they have to go through the same thing. And this being the first time, it's like a learning experience. I guess when you get a little bit more seasoned, you're prepared for, like, this isn't going to look exactly the way I thought it would in my head. And, you just sometimes, eh, the situation actually hand you lemons, and we gotta make lemonade out of it, right? So there were a few occasions where it actually turned out a lot better than I had it in my head. So it goes both ways.
does that help, guys? I'm basically moving your picture to, hopefully
Oh well,
hopefully
yeah,
that
right.
helps.
It's it does, I'm sure.
Um, Thank you. I mean, gosh, the follows are just rolling in. John, the Florida Flippery T. I don't even. Okay. Redneck Gamer. Hey, Chris. How's it going? Cryptic Mayhem. Thank you for the follows, guys. I mean, it's really awesome. I appreciate it. Um, so here's a question. I'm gonna do things a little differently because we know each other really well. We don't have to sit here and play this. Well, when we were shooting, you know what I mean. We can have fun with this, right?
Yeah.
So
Plus, you were there, so it helps.
right. So recently, that Batman trailer came out, and there was a lot of talk that only 25% of this movie was shot, and people were wondering, is he going to make
I didn't even know that.
the Batman trailer,
Yeah, I didn't know that.
or that there was only 25% shot?
That there was only 25% shot. Like I'm hearing, like you saying this, I'm hearing it for the first time.
Yeah. So that's
That's
only
crazy.
yeah. So the question is, Redneck Gamer, thank you for the host. Um, the question is, there's a lot of people that have been saying, well, now that so much of this has been shot, or so little has been shot, and now they're getting feedback. Does he take that feedback and does that change what he shoots the rest of the time? I'm kind of
Mm.
curious from your point of view as a writer director. Would you
Say
be
that
open to
say
that?
that loosely. Yeah, right.
You did
No,
it.
I get you saying. I don't think I have enough experience to answer that question, honestly. Um, what would I do? It's a fine line. There's no easy answer to that, right? I mean, you have situations where you know what you want to do vision wise, and you're going to execute that no matter what, because that's what you want the story to be. And at the end of the day, that's what you are, right? Or a storyteller. If you let too much outside influence come in, then you're not really telling your story anymore, are you? You're telling their story, what they want to hear. But the same time, at the same time, like that's your audience, so maybe you should listen to them. It's no easy answer, and that's
And
I don't know. I have no answer to that, man.
it's
That is difficult.
it's crazy, right? Though I mean, it's like it
Yeah.
puts you in a different. It's almost like from a movie studio point of view. That's why they do test screenings. Is so if they
Yeah, that's a
go,
very common thing. Yeah.
you know, so it's
Yeah.
like I don't see the point of that because to me it shouldn't be like that. It should be your vision is what got the movie made in the first place. Like the
Hmm.
people that gave to your Kickstarter, they want to see what you have to do. If you got
Yeah.
money, like if we had a huge budget and a studio was involved, you would not want to answer to them as to how the movie should be made. But
No,
unfortunately,
that's
that's the way Hollywood
yeah,
works.
yeah, no, that's what would happen if we got funded by Universal Studios, Universal or something like that. And yeah, of course we would. I know somebody recently who they had an idea for a movie. They're going and try to get funding for it, and they had Universal already set up to fund the movie. But then they got to thinking, they're like, well, Universal is going to want to have creative control over this. And so they literally said, no, we're just going to do a Kickstarter because they wanted to tell their vision. I would another 100 grand come in handy on this movie? Oh, absolutely. But do I want to submit an edit to some suit at Fox or Disney, or not that they would have, but you know what I mean, example wise, and then have them looking over my shoulder and go, well, see, no, we don't think that that's going to fly. Well, that's problematic. Let's not do. Who wants that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, if you get hired by the studio, directors get hired by studios all the time. It's like, okay, we're going to hire this director to make this movie. That's not really the director's idea, vision. He's just that's his job, is to make that movie based on what the studio already wants. So there's different, that's why we're independents. We can do whatever the hell we want. And that's what's awesome about it. But then again, it's like, sometimes you can get so tunnel vision on something, you don't realize that, yeah, maybe if people aren't, if this isn't gelling with people, maybe you need to tweak the story a little bit. It's art, right? It's at the end of the day, it's art. So it's subjective, and you just want to do what's best. Like, you just want to have a good product at the end. And if that means that you just did nothing and just completely just had tunnel vision with your own vision, then great. If it means taking suggestions as well, then great too. It's the end product that matters. And if people enjoy it, that's what matters.
Yeah. And I just have to say really quick,
Mm-hmm.
you're sending people over here and it's nuts because Cryptic Mayhem, Tim Eater, Stockatron, it looks like II9II, but I don't know who that is, but thank you. And then Brighton Robinson gifted a sub to Bucho. It's going nuts over here. I'm up to 93
Cool.
followers. So oh my God.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you for having me on yet again. This is like the third time.
Fourth time?
Third, fourth, something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, it's fun
Uh,
having you on just because, like I like talking with you about movie stuff because it's fun. It's just
yeah.
fun to do. Now,
Yeah. Oh,
so here's some questions from my chat. I'm sure you have questions in your chat. Feel free to, you know,
Oh yeah, if I see something, I'm like, I need to answer that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll do it.
there's some, of course, there's some questions that had been asked before. Like, do you have an idea of length of the movie right now?
Oh, it's gonna be pushing 2 hours. Hmm.
Okay, there you go, David. There's your answer on that one. And then he also asked, did would you do a second one?
Would I do a second one? Yeah, I would for sure. But we'll see how this one goes first.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
there's no question that what you would like to do is direct more than, you know what I mean? Just not worry about the acting side, just worry about the directing, because everybody, guys, seriously, if you were there, you saw Billy was like, he was so quiet and focused all the time, and it had to be just, I was beat. I can't even see how you got through it. Being it your
You
first
know what?
time too.
You know it's funny. I really wasn't tired at all during set, and it's not because I mean I wasn't like taking speed or whatever. What are the drug the kids take these days? I don't know, but no, I don't know. It's just really weird. I had this energy that I hadn't had in a long time, and I just wasn't
Hmm.
tired. Sometimes I'd go home and I wouldn't be able to even sleep. And getting up in there early in the morning wasn't an issue either, which usually it is. It was fun. It was a blast. Dad Natural, thank you so much. Can you do your Eddie Munster impersonation while asking a question? Can I? Well, I don't have an Eddie Munster impersonation. I have a Herman Munster impersonation, and I'm not the one asking the questions. Robbie is. So, Robbie, you're going to have to do the Herman
I
Munster.
don't do a hermit. I don't even.
He goes, Lily, Lily. Oh,
Yeah, see, I'm not a. I can't do that. I
okay.
can ask it. I can ask questions in a Scottish accent. That's about as good as I can do.
Yeah.
But it, it
No, yeah, it was just it was tough because there was never a moment where something where I allowed there was a time where I shouldn't or couldn't be thinking about something, right? Um and there's a lot of photos from the set and even a lot of video where I'm just sitting there. I look like a zombie. I'm just sitting there because that's how I operate. Like I go so deep into thought. It's like I leave my body.
yes,
And I'm just like, oh, well, I could just be standing there and someone thinks that I'm zoned out like a zombie or something. But no, I'm just thinking. I'm thinking like, what are we gonna do here? Like I'm piecing together the puzzles. Like it's like doing a Rubik's cube in my head, and it's yeah, it's crazy.
and see,
But
that's
it was fun. It was fun too.
well, it's weird because I guess when you were focused like that, to me, you looked tired, but it was
Hmm.
probably that was your focus face, because everybody was like,
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, even like, Leon would say, oh man, I wish I could, hang out with Billy and joke around with him, but he seems like he's such in the zone, and you were in the zone, and it was, I think, again, guys, if you hadn't watched some of the previous interviews and talks we've had, I think my favorite day on set was probably the day where it was that Saturday with the kids, because you
yeah.
were able to direct and just
Hmm.
direct,
Hmm.
and it was a lot of fun to see. And I mean, my wife was there for it. It's it was like my favorite day for many reasons, but being able to see you in
Yeah.
your element, that was really cool.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I've never been the type. I've always been what do they call it, an introvert or whatever. So you kind of like I've always been had the type of personality. Well, I just been blend into the shadows and I just go into the back of the room and I just do my own thing. I'm rogue. Like I don't lead. I don't follow. I'm rogue. I've always been rogue. But for whatever reason, um, I've always felt natural because I've done stuff like this all the time, just in small bursts, not a necessarily obviously a full length motion picture. But I used to work at a production house, and we'd have to go out and shoot commercials. So I would have to go and direct the commercials. So it's small crew, handful of people, 5, 6 people there, but it's still the same concept, right? So and it's never bothered me. It's like I know what I want to do. I see the vision, just make people do it, and it's fine. It's
Mm.
the same thing with the movie. It was like, what, 30 people at that house, and I don't have to worry about reading lines or remembering lines and getting into that mindset. I can just sit back and be like, okay, this is what this shot's gonna be. Yeah, it was good times.
There's, I have a couple of questions, other questions in chat here that are really, some of them are pretty good here.
Mm-hmm.
Would it have celebs for the second movie?
If it gets more funding, sure. The one thing about
That's the key.
celebs, they want money.
Yeah.
So yeah. I already have a pretty damn killer idea for a spinoff. And I think once you see the movie, you'll understand what that spinoff would be. I don't want to really ruin it right now, but it's not a Game Chasers thing. It's something kind of different. But I think that's the funny enough. I think that's the thing people are going to be like, I want to see more of that. So I do anticipate that being a somewhat popular. It's funny. You have these movies that come out, right, and the things that sometimes people gravitate towards are the things that weren't necessarily the main focus. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and I think that might be one of the cases that they did. I think this might be the case for a lot of people in this one too. It's like, yeah, sure, they'll like the main story and stuff. It'll be great, but it's like this other thing, this side element that they'll be like, I want to see more of that because that was good because it's there, but in much smaller doses. So, if that's something that people kind of like, I want to see more of, then that's definitely where the spinoff should go. And I'm my mind's always working, right? So and this, but I've kind of started on the script of that. If I'm like in bed and can't sleep or something, I'll just break out with a laptop and just start writing just for the fun of it. So
Yeah. Brighton, we filmed for 17 days over a 3-week period. So
and it's not over yet.
yeah, and there was a 6-day week off on Sunday, 5-day week off Saturday and Sunday, and then 6 days straight. It was tough because there were a lot of overnights that you're basically on set for 12 hours. I live an hour away from where we were shooting, so every day was a 14-hour day for me minimum. And then it was crazy, but it was unbelievably fun, and I mean it was great. David asked if Crispus Robotica is going to be in the movie. It's got to be in there somewhere. Uh-oh. Did I lose?
Maybe.
Oh.
I want to answer this. Chris Roberts. What's up, Chris? He asks, "Are you part of the Screen Actors Guild?" No, I have to be an actor to be in Screen Actors Guild. But no, we're not. We're not part of any guilds or anything like that. In fact, that did kind of inhibit us from. There was a couple of like, you know what, we can get this celebrity for this role, and even if they charge a little bit that we could afford, it's still such a hassle because the whole movie then has to be SAG because they can't work unless it's a SAG project. And when you are a SAG project, then you have to actually file for it, spend more money. You have to follow certain guidelines. You have to do it's a bunch of red tape. They actually have people that work with the union come out and visit the set once in a while just to make sure that you are following those guidelines. And if you're not, you get fined. So, I mean, who wants to deal with that? Just to have a cameo from some celebrity. We're little guys, it wasn't worth it.
And it has to make sense for the movie because it's, you know what I mean? It's like,
oh, for sure. Yeah, no, there was one person in particular that I was like, this guy would be perfect for, and I'm just a big fan. That's why I wanted him in there. But at the end of the day, it's like hamper or hamstring the entire project going SAG just so you can be happy having this one celebrity in just because you think it's cool. Is that really worth it?
yeah.
Probably not.
And I don't know how. Do you have other questions there?
Oh, no, I'm just gonna say what's up. Say what's up for everyone in the chat. So just for if you haven't tuned in or have just now joined, so this is a stream on Rob the Order 42 podcast on Twitch, and so he was interviewing me. So I figured it'd be a great idea to just stream it on this channel as well, so you guys can be a part of it too. And the goal of the night is to get him to 100 followers, and that's obviously going to happen. So if you haven't followed and you are on Twitch and you want to follow a really cool podcast, then click the link in the description and follow away.
Thank you again. I mean, that's
Okay.
awesome. Well, here's some interesting ones. Okay, so this one you may not be able to answer, but let's just see. What is the hardest part of the film to edit? Like, can you even answer that?
I would say so there's this thing that happens whenever you're editing, and I think it's probably more of a thing if you directed it, shot it yourself, or shot it if you directed it and you're editing yourself, where you fall in love with certain things. And as an editor, sometimes you have to see things objectively, and if it doesn't make sense in the story, even though if it's funny, even though you like it, even though you think it's a great thing, if it doesn't fit well in the story, then maybe it shouldn't be there. So it's trying to be objective, I guess, with certain things. I've had to cut a few like lines and shots and things like that, even though I really really like them. They kind of dragged a scene down, and just didn't work.
Hmm.
I think that.
Sorry, I was trying to puppet thing on my end.
Oh, okay.
Just real quick, Mike Eng, Aaron Jordan, Javier, thank you for the follows. It's awesome. And thank you, Billy. Again, it's just awesome. How many? This one's I like this one. How many commentary tracks are planned? The ones from the show are great.
Oh, I'm sure. Obviously, there's going to be one, but I imagine there's going to be a couple.
Yeah.
So that's something it's hard to really plan. You record one, and if it's great, then great. If there's something that you think that you can add to it, and get some different people, different perspective, then you go ahead and do that as well. But you can never really know until you kind of get in there and think about, okay, well, this is what's going to be. I'm sure there would be one with just mainly like the crew, and then probably one with like, who knows, maybe like a few actors or something that were in the movie that could do it, and then maybe just like a director's one where I'm just kind of like because I'm feeling like the main commentary track is just going to be us cutting up and going, remember that.
Yeah.
And then I'll be wanting to be like, man, okay, so this is really hard to get because see the technical thing, and then everyone's so
Right.
It'll probably be like a cut up one, and then another one where I'm like, okay, so this is why we shot it this way, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I guess that would be it'd actually be kind of interesting to know what people prefer, because like I don't like the ones that are kind of cut up. I like the ones where you can tell that they're sitting right next to each other and they're just watching and they're having a good time.
Oh, I don't mean cut up like that. I hate those too. No, okay. I mean cut up like joking around.
No, I know what you meant. Okay. I was just
okay.
saying I don't like the ones that are like edited together.
Yeah, see, it'll be like, yeah, and then you may go a couple minutes without hearing anything.
Says you guys should do a normal one and then one where you guys are all wasted. But that could probably happen. I'm probably
no, actually that could really happen, because I'm editing the season 3 Blu-ray right now. Last night, in fact, and one of the commentary tracks that I had switched over, I forgot all about it, but I'm completely just shit-faced drunk through the whole thing, and it's so cringe.
And Brighton asked, this is actually a good question too. I think I know the answer, but I've seen a lot of the new camera equipment you recently got on Twitter. Will all of that be used in future Game Chasers episodes?
Episodes? No. Videos? Yes. A camera like that is extremely hard to take around and run and gun, and YouTube, or well, specifically Game Chasers is run and gun. You just have a camera right there, quick, capture the action as it happens. yeah, while the one we get, we can kind of do that. It's just more difficult for somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience working as a cinematographer to kind of run and gun with that camera.
Yeah.
It can be done, and people sometimes do it with documentaries, but they know what they're doing. You can't hand this thing to Dodongo and expect him to get any good shots. You know what I mean, or Chris or anything. No offense, Chris, but it takes, there's no autofocus for one thing, so that tells you what you know all you need to know, really. So
No, absolutely. Um, Now here's a question that this is one of mine. Um, as a writer, I mean, this is your first time writing a screenplay, but was there a moment that was almost like a pinch me kind of moment that you were kind of like, okay, the stuff that I wrote and that I just dreamed up one day is being said. Did you have that kind of weird like wow, this is really happening? You know what I mean?
not really.
Really?
No, not really. Uh, I think because I saw it in my head. So the script took about a year and a half to write and perfect. The dialogue was never perfected 100%, but that's because I knew that there was going to be a lot of ad libbing on set. That's what I was anticipating, that because people need to be their own selves, say things their own way. So I wasn't hung up. The dialogue is a go by because you got to kind of maintain the framework of a story, of course. But Chris, for instance, is in the chat. I may have wrote something a way that he may have phrased it a little bit different. He's essentially saying the thing, but he's saying it in his own words. So you hear the boy back there. He uh, but regardless, like I through the year and a half, you visualize it and you see it in your head over and over and over and over and over again. And that kind of leads me to what we talked about in the beginning, where it's I have it ingrained I have everything ingrained in my head. So seeing it actually play out on the set, it was almost like I was seeing it in my head again. It really wasn't this eureka, it's happening moment. It was maybe a little bit on the first day, because it was that first day it was just brand new, and you're kind of like seeing it, and it was like, wow, this is happening. No turning back now.
It's
But yeah, I'll say, let's say the very first thing we shot
yeah.
wasn't even dialogue, but I'm like, because it was just so funny, because the Eric taking a dump was the first shot of the movie. Not the first shot in the movie itself, but the first, movies are shot out of order. That was the first one we shot. First shot we shot. First shit shot we shot. Shit. And it was just so funny, because despite writing that scene a year before we even had the location, it still played out exactly how I had in my head. Him taking a dump, eating on the toilet. Which I guess there's only so many ways that could happen. But you kind of get the point. Like that was a good icebreaker. That was like a good first scene to, I think, get out, because it's like you just kind of need something to just kind of break the ice. And what better way than have Eric take a dump?
And it was all because the car broke down on the way there. So.
Because the car broke down on the way there, and it still broke down, by the way.
Yeah.
And it needs a new engine.
I think
need to get shots.
Yeah, and I think that's again, for anybody who wants to make a movie, that is, to me, the number one lesson, is that it's very rare when things go perfect, because
something will go wrong every day. The car that we got, the main. Thank you, Rock Music Boy. Appreciate that so much. So this car that is the main road trip car that we went out and got for specifically for this movie, and tripped out and modded and all this stuff, worked perfectly fine. This thing's worked fine for decades. Decides to crap out day one of the shoot. We had to tow it to the restaurant, and then we had to get antifreeze in it. And Chris knows, he was in the chat. He was basically the whole time saying, this thing ain't going to last much longer. This thing ain't going to last much longer. And I was just praying, please just get us through the shoot, because you could get it up, you could get it running a little bit, but then it would only be a little bit, it would only go so far before it broke down again. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's kind of funny actually.
uh, and no, but that's how that's what we had to do the entire shoot. And there's I still need to get footage of a car driving this B-roll, and the damn thing is not working anymore. It needs a completely new engine, but the engine blew out on it. But that's just the kind of thing that happens on a movie set. There's so many different movie parts. What can go wrong will go wrong, and that's just something you have to be prepared for.
Yeah. I mean, it's oh, Stockatron.
Mm-hmm.
Is that someone you know? It says, "I'm here, Billy."
No, but
Oh,
it sounds
it
creepy.
says it's crazy how many It says, "I'm here, Billy," and I was like, "Is that somebody that you know?" Anyway, they say it's crazy how many shots it took to make a short 30-second scene, and yeah, it really is. It's you don't think about those things when you're watching a movie. You just don't understand what it takes to put it all together. It's kind of
Well,
crazy.
yeah, because it's not a simple thing as moving the camera. It's like you have to move the camera, but then the entire world has to move. So
Yeah.
lighting, sound, all that, and they have to sit there. So you get the wide shot, but then you have to say you want to move, then you get a close up. In YouTube world, in our world, what do? We just take the camera, move it up closer, you're done. Shoot. 20 seconds. It's not how it works in the film world. You have to move the lights around. It's like you're framing each shot as a portrait, as a work of art. And then so you just it's so funny because like once you think you got everything ready, you hear like Chris or the gaffer. In our case, it was Chris, but not Chris in the chat. Christopher Vaughn. Uh, Call out to one of his men. Yeah, I need a sky panel, or I need a pizza box or something. That's like it's their lingos. And because then Pete will be there with the camera and being like, I get too much shadow right here, or it's too hot right here, and so they're making sure everything just looks perfect. And so 30 minutes later, after you've got this shot ready, then you can actually start shooting again. And it's like that's the throughout the entire day, that's what it's like.
Yeah. Stockatron, it's Chris Stockstill. A lot of Chris's. I was an extra.
Oh, Chris Stocks. Yeah, I know him. I sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't know him by I don't know him by his I guess his Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, his Twitch name. Yeah, I don't. But yeah, no, that's Chris. So he's the well, I can't really say in here because that's a spoiler. But yeah, he was at the flea market. He was the extra at the flea market scene.
Yep.
So
And it's actually Vista Buccio said that we should have Tom Selleck in the second movie. I think that's
I like types. You know who I want? Mr. T. Mr. T.
that would yeah. But
That would be
dude,
awesome.
there's so many. In fact, I watched a little movie last night for the first time in I don't know how many years. Total Recall. I would love to have Michael Ironside in a movie.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? I was actually for a minute there considering him for the grandfather. Like, how awesome would it be to get Michael Ironside for the grandfather? His favorite role, my favorite role of his is V, the final
Mm-hmm.
battle. Yeah, he was such a badass in there. And what was it in Top Gun? I forget what his call sign was, but he was in
Jester.
Top Gun. Jester, that's right. Yeah,
Like yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
Total Recall
okay,
was amazing. It was so
so I
good.
got a question. So I got a question here. Z2X says, "Did making a movie ruin your ability to watch movies? Enjoy watching movies? Not really. Didn't for me. Because I already knew. I already knew about the. I already knew about the movie making process. I went to school for that, right? I mean, I've had to direct things. Like I had to direct scenes from Big Lebowski in film school, and like I said before, directing commercials and stuff. But that's commercials. But anyway, yeah, you get a kind of you get an idea of how things are made. It doesn't really kind of ruin your. It doesn't really kind of I guess ruin the illusion of the world. You can still sit down and enjoy a story, even though you may think to yourself sometimes now, or it's like, wow, I wonder how they got that shot, or that was some really clever editing, or I really like the color grade in that. It's not as good as mine. Now I'm pissed. You're comparing yourself a little bit to it, a little, yeah. Um, so I will say, yeah, now that I have officially made a movie, I guess I could say that, yeah, sometimes I'll sit down and watch something and be like, damn, mine's not as good as that. Shit. You know, why couldn't have I thought of that, you know?
It's weird though. It's
So,
like because one of my questions was actually has doing all this affected the way that you watch movies, and you just answered that. Now, me personally, it's completely changed it. I'm noticing things that I never really noticed before, and then especially older movies, like I would say pre 90s, before CG, basically. You're sitting there
mhm.
and you're blown away by what they're hashtag blown away. You're blown away by what they're able to do in camera. It
Oh yeah, absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
it's mind boggling. We were I
Oh,
was
it's
oh go ahead.
yeah. No, oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say, like, I can't. I was watching something from the '80s the other day, and I'm like, I can't imagine how hard that would have been to do without the use of like digital. Like, I could pop in After Effects and stuff and do things right now
Yeah,
that they in the '80s, but they're sitting there, they're doing that in camera and stuff. I'm just like, that's just, it's amazing.
it really is. I mean, like, well, Total Recall. There were scenes in that where I'm like, I know that's a matte painting. I know they probably have green screen and it's rotoscoped out, and they're replacing it with a matte painting. But
Hmm.
wow, that looks really good for. I mean, especially the lower quality projectors they had back then. When you're watching it, you don't notice those rotoscope lines as much.
Hmm.
So back then, it probably was like because I didn't see it in the theater. It came out in 1990. I didn't see it
Hmm.
back then. It must have been insane in the theater.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. No, I know where you're coming from. Um, before the writing of the movie, or during the, I should say during the writing of the movie, I did watch a lot of my favorites and just kind of study.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of studying. So purposefully watch them in a kind of a different way, as opposed, I watch movies to escape, right? You put it in, you just escape. Well, I was watching them to kind of be like,
Film school.
try to pick up on like elements of storylines and stuff. Well, how did they resolve this storyline? How did they intertwine certain things, and how did they foreshadow things that happened in the end, and um and then shots, how angles and stuff like that. You really kind of start paying attention to that. So there was like months and months and months. I would just be sitting in bed with a laptop and then just watching like Pee Wee's Big Adventure or Fanboys and stuff, and just seeing how they did certain things. Because especially when I had a problem, when I would have a problem in the script and be like, I don't know how I'm going to resolve this. What am I going to do? And I would just just put it on a ton of movies and just be like, just kind of study, like, school, like schooling, get a get schooling on story structure and stuff like that. It helps, and especially if you need to kind of like a bit of inspiration.
The uh, Stockatron was saying Star Wars 2, a lot of backgrounds were paintings I didn't know until a few years back. It's amazing how many are like the miniatures and all that stuff back in the prequels that they used a because everybody complained about there's too much CG, there's too much CG. Very little CG, or there's a lot less CG than we thought. It
Yeah,
really is kind of amazing.
see, the issue I have with CG, especially in the prequels, is that when you design your whole set has to be CGI, and you're just basically everything's acted out like a play on a green screen. That's where you kind of lose me a little bit. But yeah, I mean they are what they are, right? So, but they definitely did have a lot more practical, but especially like if when they're going into the pod racing, see when they're going into those caverns, you can totally tell that that's an actual set when they're doing that. A lot of CG in there, obviously, but there is a lot of practical stuff used that
Yeah,
people they don't realize it.
yeah. I mean the pod race, a lot of that the arena there, it's all like miniatures, and all the people in the audience are like Q-tips, differently.
Yeah,
I mean it's
that's
ridiculous.
crazy. Yeah. Thank you, Captain. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. Just we have a big 30-person scene that we need to shoot, and in the days of COVID, that's a difficult thing, but we're gonna make it happen somehow.
Yeah, that's That's gonna be a fun one. I le- I made a joke about this about a month ago, and it's basically, well, it's episode one, but it's actually the fourth movie. So wait a minute, does it take place No, it's the first one. It takes place first, but it was made in the 90s. But the first Star Wars, the actual first Star Wars, was made in 77. It's like if you try to explain that to somebody that doesn't know Star Wars, they're just completely
Right.
confused. And it's just kind of funny that we were like, no, wait a minute. When you say I love the first Star Wars movie, what do you mean?
Right.
It's I don't know. It's just kind of funny.
Hey, yeah, I'll take that any day over just some company making the fourth movie in a series just like the same name as the first, like Fast and Furious, and what are the oh, and just like calling like the fourth or fifth movie just by the character's name, like Rambo,
Right.
Rocky. This that crowd drives me crazy. It drives me absolutely crazy. The Thing, and then The Thing. I can understand if it's a remake, but it's not a remake. It's a prequel, so we're just still gonna call it The Thing. Drives me crazy.
It's actually kind of funny that you say that because that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about is what I mean from your point of view, just in general, remakes. Are you like 90% against them or like how does that go? Cuz like the thing in itself is was a remake,
No, it was.
but
I have no issues with remakes.
unless it's Back to the Future.
No remakes of Back to the Future. No remakes of Gremlins, and no remakes of Star Wars, unless you're talking about the 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
I know you're gonna hate me on that.
Yeah.
But I don't generally have a problem with remakes. It doesn't mean I'm gonna go out and watch them, and I rarely do. But if that you want to make a remake of it, then that's fine. Because sometimes the remakes can be better than the original. I mean, take Dread for instance.
Yeah.
Is that considered a remake or just another take on the source
A
material? I
reboot?
don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe,
Yeah.
I guess it's, I don't know. But, sometimes they can turn out great. The Thing from Another World, the original, is a great movie. Uh, but the Thing from the 80s, it's awesome, right? So, uh, yeah, they can turn out they can turn out to be just completely worthless, but they sometimes can turn out to be really good as well. Um, my philosophy has always been like, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. It's not
Right.
going to ruin the first one. I would hate it. I would absolutely hate it if they made a new Gremlins movie, like a reboot or something. But it's not gonna stop me from enjoying the first.
See, it's so weird because like for me, Gremlins is one of those, yeah, you don't remake that. But like they did a remake of Total Recall, and I was sitting there the whole time going, if they could make Total Recall, like the story itself is really good, and there's a lot of really interesting twists in the movie. And if they could have remade it, but not suck, because the Colin Farrell one, I love Colin Farrell, but man, that movie was just bad.
It's funny. I was actually thinking about the Total Recall, and I was going to call it shit, but then I realized I never watched it. I just assumed it was shit.
Yeah, I
But
watched it and was just like, yeah,
because you can't replace Arnold Schwarzenegger.
right.
Okay. So what did I say? Back to the Future, Star Wars, and Gremlins, and anything that stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, don't remake.
Can't remake E.T. E.T.'s probably one of those where I just don't know
Yeah.
if you could get any better than. Hmm,
Yeah, well, you always run across the issue where like it's the same story just told again and again and again. It's not necessarily a remake, but it's the same story.
right.
So that's you could look at a lot of things as honestly being potentially a remake of ET, but it's
Mac and me.
there's only so many yeah, right. So there's only so many stories that you can tell. It's just how you're gonna tell it.
Yeah. See, I think,
I mean, our story isn't really necessarily original, but it's told a different way.
but see, yeah, it's kind of one of the biggest, especially if you ever hang out in a lot of, Bucho, you know what I'm talking about. If you hang out in a lot of places, one of the biggest problems with a lot of movies, today is that we're such everybody's a critic. Everybody's a
Yeah.
and we've all seen hundreds of movies. So, bless you.
Sorry, I forgot to hit the mute button on my
That's
mic.
okay. But you know what I mean? It's like, how do you? The biggest criticism is Hollywood doesn't innovate enough anymore, and they don't. They don't.
Yeah.
But think about it. It is hard to come up with an original idea.
Well, especially nowadays, right? Because we say Hollywood, but really it's more than Hollywood. It's not even Hollywood anymore. It's movies are you look at every country on the planet, they're making movies, and now you have idiots like us making movies where we wouldn't have had access to do something like that 20
Yeah.
years ago because the equipment would have been too expensive and wouldn't have been able to get the funding, because the only way you would have been able to get the funding was to walk into some suit's office and then just hope they like your idea enough to want to give you money and then have control over it. So that is it allows us to do stuff like this. So you have more, just maybe some would say oversaturation, but it's a much more saturated environment now. So stories are going to be the same. It's just the way it's got to be. And there's, like I said, there's only so many things. There's only so many stories to tell, but there's much many more ways to tell those stories out there.
Right.
The hero's journey, right? It's one of the probably the biggest common storyline out there, the hero's journey. It's essentially Star Wars, but you can tell it in many different ways. Harry Potter, Star Wars, right? And then there's countless others.
Yeah. It really is, to me. It kind of boils down to, can you do it in a way that makes it seem fresh? Because I mean, if you think about some of those movies, like The Matrix. The Matrix was kind of, oh my gosh, it's so fresh, it's so original. It's like it's a hodgepodge of like 4 different movies put together in a way that hadn't been done before.
Hadn't been done before,
And that's really what it comes down to.
And it was great. It was amazing. I love The Matrix.
Yeah.
It's all about, we all have our own, we all have similar human experiences, and that's why these stories are all kind of similar, and there's so many different stories out there that people can relate to, and um people kind of relate to them in a different way, so you're able to tell it in a way, like in a sci-fi way, that people can get more into sci-fi, they can relate more to sci-fi, or romantic comedy, or just a general comedy or a drama. They all offer their own ways of putting their own spin on a certain story that's been told a million times, even way before movies even existed, like back in you know medieval times, Greek times, and you know um days of the pyramids, where aliens were building pyramids 5,000 years ago. So 10,000, look it up. It's not 5,000. They'll say 5,000 in history books, but they're much older than that, because aliens.
There you go. Guys, I hope everybody's taking notes on that, because that's important.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quiz you afterwards.
Let's see here.
Thank you, Extinct9 RKR Gaming. Appreciate that.
It's funny.
What's up?
Oh.
What's up, Joel? Sorry.
Wait a minute. What the heck? My face is gone on my end.
I still see ya.
Is that why? Oh, it's because it made me all small. How do I fix this? Can I fix this? Oh. There we go. I'm back. It was just on my stream. I was trying to, I had a dialogue box that was kind of behind all the other boxes, and I couldn't figure out how to get it, because I couldn't move everything out of the way.
All right.
There we go. That's why.
FOBS. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron Kisharsky's White Knight. Much appreciated for that comment.
David said, what made old movies great back then was that filmmakers focused on the art of movies and they were experimental. And now Hollywood is focused at how much money it can make. They kind of always were that way.
Yeah, I was about to say. They've always been that way. Watch Ed Wood. It's a brilliant movie. Yeah. It shows you. It really shows you what's. I mean, it's an artistic take on true events, but you really, those movie executives back then were just as cutthroat as they were now. It was all about it's always been a money making business, and that's where you get the art that clashes with the money making aspect. Where what really sucks is when decisions are made because of profit instead of what's best for the story. And movie studios, they're usually going to side with the side that gets them more profits and
Yeah.
not the story. Artists wants what's best for the story. So
Well, and it's weird too because it's kind of like who's in the. I mean, I think all of us, most of us anyway, would probably side with the creator or with the writer or the director or whatever, instead of
mhm.
some studio head, some suit that's trying to kind of butt in and make decisions for the movie, right? You don't want by
Exactly,
committee,
exactly,
but at the same
exactly.
time, it's their money. So that's one thing where it's really kind of scary to try to like for somebody to try to get into that as a career. You make that's how a lot of these some of these directors, they get into making a Marvel movie or something like that. They make these smaller, lower budget movies. They're really successful, and they go, you know what, their sensibility would be perfect for this big Marvel movie. But then
Yeah.
they've got to navigate that, I guess, the politics of how to, I want my story to be intact, but we also have to make a profit here.
Right. I think a lot of it just boils down on how much they trust the person involved.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you get somebody in there with not a lot of experience, they're going to have a lot more. They're going to have a lot more ability to manipulate, not manipulate, but to strong on them, arm them into doing things. Whereas, like if you are a famous director and you have a big resume and you've made some killer stuff, they're probably going to take a step back or so, not butt as many heads, and try to trust your process, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't think there's one size fits all in that situation. It's just a matter of sometimes it works out in the favor for the art, and sometimes it makes it's going to make the people with the pocketbooks a lot more happy. They make a lot of times, just be like something in casting. A lot of times they'll cast people in a role simply because they want to be able to market that movie into other parts of the country, and they want that ethnicity. So it's they'll do that. And just anything to kind of just butt heads and say, hey, we're going to interject our ideas into this, whether you like it or not, because we're the ones writing the checks. um People were kept on, people that hated the idea of us using a Kickstarter, we'll go back to that again, right? So they were like, well, you should just go to a studio and get funding that way, because that's how the movie industry does it.
Right.
Why would I want somebody making decisions over my head saying this is what a Game Chasers movie should be? Think about that.
Yeah.
Having a suit and tie telling us what a Game Chasers movie should be. We're the only ones should be able to call those shots, period. I don't care if you're going to throw a couple $100,000 our way or whatever. It just doesn't make any sense. And that's exactly what would happen, because if some studio wrote us a couple $100 check to make this movie, you don't think for one damn second, especially since I have zero on my resume when it comes to directing a film. You really don't think that they're going to have somebody over our head, telling us, hey, we want this in there, we don't want this in here? Of course that's going to happen. So this notion that these people want to throw out and say, no, you should have gotten money from the studio, oh, that's wonderful, yes, and then the fans wouldn't have got what the fans wanted, and that's what
Right.
they're getting with this.
I agree. It's you don't want somebody else dictating your vision.
Yeah.
No. But then that's it's kind of funny because in order to work in Hollywood, there is that compromise. You have to do that. Because I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. You're going to have compromises almost every day, and it's like you have to pick your battles. And that's
Oh yeah,
it's
movie making is all about compromises. You were there on the set, so firsthand. There were so many times where I wanted to get a shot. I'm like, we got to get a shot for this. This is. I want to get a dolly. I want to get a nice dolly shot or something. I want to push into the subject, right? I want to get a nice, like, following Eric as he's going to take his dump. I wanted to sit the dolly up and follow him, truck along next to him as we panned and get, or as we go to the action of that other table. I wanted to do. We got some of that stuff, but I couldn't get it every time. And the only reason I couldn't get it every time was we simply didn't have time. I'd have the AD on me, my ass, being like, we got 5 minutes and we got to get to the next scene. Because the AD, the assistant director, that's their job, is to keep everything on schedule. They have to. Because if we're off and we don't keep things on schedule, things end up don't getting shot at all. And you have to at least get the essential things. So when my artsy fartsy ass is like, well, I want this pretty shot here. Well, do we have time? We don't have time. Well, unfortunately, getting the other scene shot at all is more important than your one extra artsy fartsy shot. So shit on you, right?
It's weird.
Sometimes we got it, sometimes we didn't.
And
So
there were days when we would only have like 10 to 12 setups, meaning if it's a scene, it's this like okay, look at it this way, guys. Billy's there, I'm here. I'm one setup. Lighting and all that kind of stuff. My lighting sucks because my head's all shiny. But anyway, and then Billy's.
well, that's why we have Allie to
Well,
powder
right.
your.
See, I have no alley, so and I'm greasy. So.
She was in the chat. She might still be in the chat.
Uh, if they're huh? Hi, Allie. But then
Oh, hi.
that's a different setup. So that's two different setups. Both sides of the conversation. Then you might have a wide. So that's another setup. So you're talking 12 to 15. If you were doing 15, you were doing pretty well. We were doing really well.
Yeah.
But we had one day where we had like 20 something setups because
It was insane.
we were cranking
It
it
was
out.
insane.
That means every time you're moving the camera, you're moving the lighting,
right,
you're
right.
moving.
See, and this is where budget really comes into play, because when you're smaller budget like we are, you have to, everybody's got to get paid, and you have a crew that you have to pay and feed and all that. In our case, several $1,000s a day, right? So if you only have a certain amount of money to work with, you got to cram. You got to cram it in as few days as possible, but still be realistic to be able to get everything you needed to get done in every day. We could have crammed this shoot to 20 to 10 days, but on some of these days we would have been shooting like 15 pages of the script, and that's almost impossible. It's impossible if you wanted to make it look good.
Yeah.
If you want it to be the quality of like Birdemic, then shoot the whole damn thing in one day. But we as it is now, we were usually like around 5 to 8 pages a day, and that's very much lower than 20. But when you're shooting a movie, that's still pretty damn high, and that's just what we could afford to do. But because we can only, the amount of days that we had, it was about, ended up depending on what the scene is, because obviously if the scene's more complicated, you're gonna shoot less of those pages in a day, as opposed to if it's just like a bunch of fuck faces, us like sitting on the couch talking, and that's 5 pages, then well, yeah, you need to get that done, like, unless nobody knows their damn lines, you can get that done quicker. But we were just, we were just blowing through some of these things, and that's what I really envy when it comes to like these bigger movies. And while, like, just name it, whatever, Avengers or whatever, sometimes they'll shoot as little as like half a page in a script or less in a day, if that's what they need to do to get, because it's such a complicated shot. Sometimes the whole day will just be one shot just because it's so complicated, and they have the luxury to do that because they got all the money to work with in the world. So when you're us, and you have to shoot upwards of 5 to 8 pages a day, you just got to pray to the filming gods that everybody knows their dialogue, because if you have somebody screwing up again and again and again and don't know their lines, well, you've just spent half the day doing 2 pages, and now we got to get 6 pages done the rest half of the day. So what the hell are we going to do? Just burn through it, and then you get a bunch of footage that looks like shit. Then that's why I'm so happy that everybody knew their lines for the most part on this, and that's what bought me a lot of time at the end of the day. Is if there was a very complicated scene, and the scene is complicated with like eight people in it, and they all have dialogue, and Rudy is like, well, this is going to be a complicated scene, I need to schedule this to be like this one scene is the entire first half of the day, and then but everybody knows their dialogue, and we're just getting through it, like it's just boom, killer. and we got all the setups that I have to have in editing to make this scene. I got the establishing, the excuse me, the wide. I got the close ups on the people that need the coverage. So I got everything, but that extra time, if we're able to do it as quickly as possible, but still make it look good, then it allows me to be like, okay, we got 30 minutes to we're 30 minutes ahead of schedule. Great. Now I can get that stupid artsy shot that I wanted that's going to take 20 minutes to set up a damn dolly. So that was just the dream, and that happened a few times. I know one in particular that day that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just so amazing because I was like, okay, now we have time to get more. So when I'm in editing, I have more shots to work with, because that sucks. That sucks when you're in editing and there's two good takes, you don't really like either of them.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if we had just had time to get it maybe a couple more times, because maybe then that one would have been the amazing one, or maybe just a cutaway, because sometimes in editing you'll go, you really want to kind of see this character's reaction to that, just to kind of it'll actually change the scene a little bit, because then you kind of have somebody speaking for the audience, like what the hell's going on the look on their face. So you wish you would have gotten that, but you don't know that sometimes until you get into editing, going, I wish I had that. But when you're on set, you're like, it's not really in your head because you didn't see that aspect of it in the script or while you were shooting. It's not until you get into editing you see it and you're like, well, shit. Let me add that to the pickup shot list.
I think that was one of you had kind of touched on it, was that everybody, knew their lines. I think that was one of the most challenging things, is trying to stay on top of things because the script kept changing. And but it was a better movie for it because
minor changes.
Well, right.
I don't want to worry about everyone worry about it. Like, oh man, they fucked up, and now they had to change a bunch of shit.
No, yeah, oh yeah. It's the fact that there were times where somebody would ask for a line, and I'd be like, it's this. The lines are different because that's it's the way.
Yeah.
It's basically what I quit being like a script supervisor, and I was just paying attention to, okay, this scene is supposed to get them from this point to this point. Does that scene do that? As long as it does that, then I should be fine.
Yeah, that's what I was saying with people ad-libbing the dialogue, because
Yeah.
I know that there's nothing that on the page that I can write that's going to be better than what they can come up with on the fly. So everybody knew their lines, but they took them in other directions.
Right.
And, maybe Jay's line was, what are you doing? He could maybe, the way he would say it, he's be like, I don't know. Well, actually, that was a horrible example because I can't think of any other way to say that. But you get the point. What I'm saying. He'll say it in the J way, the
Right.
J way of saying something, and then Eric will say it in the Eric way of saying something. So there's a lot of that, and that actually makes it a lot easier for people to remember their lines, because you're not necessarily remembering someone else's words; you're remembering your own words, and just kind of all you really need at that point is to not even know lines, but just understand the idea at the time. This is what I'm feeling right now, so I'll just say what I'm feeling instead of remembering words that were written.
Right. And it's also important too that script wise, like sometimes people point out the little mistakes in the movies, and a lot of times the reason that those mistakes are there is because the performance was there. The performance in that take was better than anything else. But there was that little mistake there. They'd rather have that mistake than have a bad take, a bad acting take, which is.
And I've done that in this, and I understand that completely.
Yeah.
You're not going to. Just for instance, if somebody kind of doesn't understand what you're talking about, the editing mistake is like, you have the wide shot where somebody has their arms like this, but then you go to like coverage of that person and their arms like this. But those two takes are the very best, like by far the very best takes, because of the performance. You always go with the performance first. It doesn't matter if the arm doesn't line up. It doesn't matter. You go with the performance first. That's what matters. I'd rather I'd rather have that, the arm be in the wrong place as opposed to having it be in the right place. But then like the things that they're saying are not working out. It just doesn't make sense to me. I want to actually kind of somebody in this chat, Joel. He goes, well, what I would do sometimes. He's a director as
Hmm.
well. I say as well. I've only done it once, but
But you're a director now.
I still feel, once I do it twice, I think I could call myself a director. I don't think I can do it if it's just been once. But anyway, Joel says what I do to save time sometimes is to cut my establishing shots or insert and then grab camera, small crew, and go off another day, which is funny because that's exactly what we did. Um, and for that very reason, I'm like, we'll find another way to get establishing shots. Do not even set up for that. That would have been in, 30 minutes to set up the camera for a quick shot, and then boom, you're done. But that 30 minutes on a film set, that is valuable. That you sometimes, that's all you need is that extra 30 minutes. So save it where you can. And I've actually been going out recently and getting establishing shots. Need a lot of them, but I've gotten a few, with the Cinema 4K. So
Right.
yeah, that's what's part of, I didn't have a small crew to go out and do it at the same time, but I'm like, I'll figure out something. I'll figure out something right now. So I knew just get them later.
Yeah, I wish I could go out there with you. Just just to even if it's a day where it's like, well, we got to drive all the way out here and we'll just chat and hang out and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
man, COVID's scary.
Thank you, Rael. Appreciate that.
Now we've been talking about this for about an hour and a half. I have to ask you about the physical media thing. You did a video on it. How important is that to you? Like for those of you who are watching on my side, if you're not subscribed to Billy, if you're not subscribed to the Game Chasers, it's in the chat. Go subscribe to them. I mean, they put out great content, and you can watch the whole backlog of the Game Chasers. But anyway, you did a video about physical media and it kind of going down the tubes. And I kind of wanted to get your opinion on, how things are kind of moving, because I don't know if you noticed, but the Digital Bits, who's kind of like the DVD site, they did this sort of like, this is the status of physical media right here, and it's not good. The sales are bad. Anyway.
Yeah, but there'll still be a niche market though.
Yeah. And it's weird. It's like for me, what they need is the studios like Fox, well, I guess Disney, all of those different studios, what they should do is they should just license all of those to, Shout, or you know what I mean, or Criterion.
A lot of them are doing that.
And go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, that was all. I was just saying a lot of them are doing that. I think that'll probably be more down the road. I think that's probably how it'll go. You're not going to see like a studio releasing mid-grade. We'll still get the blockbusters for a while, but like the mid-grade stuff, they probably won't even bother with it. But they might actually outsource it to somebody like a Shout or Arrow. Arrow does a lot of that. They did I think they're doing a Dawn of the Dead, and I think they're doing a Escape from New York. I can't remember. But there was some popular movie that they're in the process of releasing from a completely different studio. Yeah.
Now this was my idea, and I just wanted to see, do you think this is a valid thing? So let's say you've got, I'm trying to think of Invisible Man, right? Came out, kind of did gangbusters, but it's never going to be at the top box office of all time or anything like that. It's a popular movie, but it's not a huge movie. So that, let's say they decide in the future, instead of putting it out on Blu-ray, what we'll do is we'll put up a Kickstarter, and people can pre-order the Blu-ray, and just like the way that you do yours, that the higher tiers you get more special features and things like that, and that way they can gauge in interest, and you're basically pre-ordering the Blu-ray at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. If that's where everything needs to go, then that's fine. I'm fine with that because I'm only going to buy the things that I want anyway, and
That's the way it works.
who I mean that's everyone,
Yeah.
right? So
I just think
yeah, I just
it's one of those things that I think there are movies out there that don't get the love from the studios because of, well, they're not it's not going to sell that much, and we don't want them in the budget bin at Walmart. You know what I mean? And it's like, and then some of them are like you'd brought up Aliens, and
yeah.
I think the biggest issue there, that and True Lies and basically all of Jim Cameron's stuff, it's because he has to approve it all. And that's why a lot of that stuff never came out or hadn't come out, is because he's been off filming, Fern Gully too. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I love talking about that because it was something that was so kind of near and dear to to all, well, you, me, and Jay. Um, Talking about physical media, it's just like
It's it sucks, but I don't think, I mean, it's not, it's going to go away for the masses,
yeah.
of course. Um, Salvador Rodriguez, look, well, I made it, the Tank Rodriguez show. Well, thank you, Salvador. Much love for that. I don't know what the Tank Rodriguez show is, but it sounds amazing. Um, and now I forgot what I was saying.
Oh, just physical.
Yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. Like I just think it's going to be a lot more niche. You're probably not going to get, for the masses, it's going to, dwindle down, and they're not going to understand why they need it anymore. But you're still going to have this niche group that it'll probably be like, well, if you want, you're going to be paying more for it.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able, that's just the way it is. Less manufacturing, more means more cost, more niche thing, something becomes, and you got to make up the cost for it. So yeah, but that's fine because I'm not one of those guys that goes and buys everything that comes out. Like I only get the things I'm really, really interested in anyway. So
Yeah, I used to. I wouldn't say I was, because there were those people, right? We would check those people out at Blockbuster. They would, every single week they would buy all the new releases, and it was just like, is it just because you just want them? They're like, yeah, I just have a collection and I just collect everything, and I'm like, okay. And
damn, yeah,
do you remember that? There were people like that. Of course, they came in
mm,
usually during the day, and you worked mostly nights, didn't you?
yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, um,
yeah,
so yeah, for a while I would buy a lot more than I do now. But then I got to the point where I'm like, I'm buying these and I'm not watching them. They're just sitting there. And it's not like I have them displayed. Why am I doing this? So I quit buying movies almost altogether, because now it's
yeah.
like Netflix, it's all on Netflix, and I can just watch it whenever I want, and I don't know, it's weird. But now I really want a 4K Blu-ray player because I want to blow the doors off speaker system.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I don't have a 4K player, but I have been buying 4K movies because it's really weird. Like, because I know I'm future proofing myself, because I know I'll have one eventually. But um, I think, especially on some of these 4K releases, because we're in the height of things starting to go down. It's like
Yeah.
a lot of these probably you're not going to be able to find later. A lot of them are going to go out of print. So if you wanted a physical copy of it in 4K, you better get it now. And I've already seen that with a few movies that were like um, relatively 20, but now they're out of print, hard to find, and of course going for a lot on eBay.
Yeah.
So there, even though I don't have a 4K player, I'm seeing some of my favorite movies, and I'm like, you know what? I'm getting this now because in a year, and when I finally have one or something, probably be out of print. Probably be like 10 times as much on eBay.
Yeah, I just remember gosh, in the DVD days, that happened a lot. Where some really rare, and there would be some screw up, on the Blu-ray or on the DVD. I mean, there would be some weird mastering issue, but it made, if you could get it sealed, it was worth something. And I remember Ed Wood was one of those. The
Yeah.
first DVD of Ed Wood was like, if you have that, you're whatever. And then they mass produced it, and the prices went way down. I just remember it because I bought one,
Yeah.
thinking, "Oh, I have it." It's not
It's
worth
funny.
anything.
The first DVD I ever watched was at your house.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I don't. What was it?
it had to have been because
Was it Stargate? Was it Stargate?
I bought Ghostbusters. I'm trying to remember what those first three were because I bought three DVDs because it was like, oh my god, I gotta have this because it was all the
Yeah, yeah.
widescreen.
You were the first person I knew that had a DVD player, and I think it was after we got off of work. You were like, "Hey, let's go watch DVDs." Because even at Blockbuster, I think we didn't have any DVDs at that. We it was just
Yeah, it was just VHS.
it was
Yeah.
VHS. We started switching over into DVD at that time, but
Well, that's one of the things that when Jay was on a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about that. It was really
mhm.
fun because I was the DVD guy at the store, and so I remember when um, we had like they were only just the new movies, but there were a ton of old movies. I was like, man, we ought to get these other movies. And Krista said, she goes today. What I want you to do is I want you to sit back there in the office, and I want you to go through the order book and order good DVDs for our back library. And we had the best back library, like in the nation. No, I don't know. But it was good though because
Yeah.
I was ordering like, oh yeah, it'd be really cool to see this on DVD, or this,
Mhm.
It was that was a magical time for sure. Ghostbusters, man. I can't remember the other ones though. I know Stargate was one of my first buys, but it wasn't like when I first got it. It was
Right, right. But I'm not. I don't know how far it was until you had it until we went over. It may have been who knows a month.
yeah. Well, I just remember
Because
they were
because I
really expensive at the beginning.
because Stargate popped in my head. So,
It could have
and you're
been
saying you had said you had Stargate at the beginning, so or near the beginning.
the flippers,
So,
the widescreen on one side, pan and scan on the other.
oh, that's the first Stargate was like
Yeah,
that, and it was, and yeah, you had to the first part of the movie, and then right in the middle of it, they're like, "You got to turn this shit
yeah.
around," and then so you got to turn it upside down and watch the rest of the movie. Could you imagine that? That's such a foreign concept, such archaic
Well, it's weird.
technology.
Laser discs were, depending on how they were, what the bit rate was. Sometimes it was like flip it, and then put another disc in, flip it, and then put another disc in. Like I remember one of the
Yeah,
Star Wars movies, it was really, really high bit rate, and it was only like 30 minutes or 20 something minutes per side back in those days. I don't know if, probably kids are like, "Whoa,
yeah.
I don't even know what that is." But
Take care, Joel. See you, man, for sure. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love those days.
Fuck DVD.
uh Stockatron said, "I remember watching Jurassic Park on DVD was so cool, all the features and the quality at the same time." I think that was the big selling point that I got you guys on. I was like, "Yeah, but you can just if you want to watch this scene, you can just go right to it. You don't have to
Skip
fast
to it.
forward."
Yeah,
And you were like, "Oh man, that's awesome."
yeah.
Yeah, that was so much fun, man. Back those days. Go.
They'll tell me we were being geezers about new technology, even like in our early 20s. Oh, man, there's DVDs, man, whatever, man. We stick to our VHS. They're fine. I want this new
They're
technology.
blocky and they melt in the sun.
What's up, Douglas?
Gremlins 1 and 2. He knows Billy appreciates those extras. I
Um,
don't even remember the extras on the.
well, different versions have. There's a few that's.
I only bought it
Is that good?
once.
Same for concept.
I only bought it once,
I've
and it's
I
on
bought
Blu-ray.
I'm an idiot that's bought every incarnation. Actually, it was the first DVD I ever bought.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe it was in the first batch because I think the first time I was online. I think there was this place called like it was really dude, yeah, it was really cool because there were several different places that you could buy DVDs online. And Deep Discount, I think
Mm-hmm.
Deep Discount was one. Blue, what's that? Blue something
Uh, well, I know there was
something
Deep
blue.
Discount DVD. There was Of course, Amazon, before Amazon was really huge, was
Hmm.
one of the big ones.
I never used Amazon, but I was using these other sites. But but what was really awesome
800.com.
is 800.com, and you could there was like these forums that you could just there were like codes, discount
Mhm.
codes that you could get, and they were just floating around on the internet. And I would just look so much. I would just sit there all night looking for just where's a code. I could find a code, so I'd get the code, boom, put it into deep discount DVD. $5 off or something. It was actually really good
Yeah.
coupons. They probably upped their prices to make it look like the coupons were. They probably took the coupons, probably took it down to what they originally wanted to sell it, but still, we felt like it worked. Whatever regardless, it worked because I would just be like, man, if I could find some damn coupons tonight, I'm buying some motherfucking DVDs. And yeah, so I would sit there buy some DVDs. But the first batch of DVDs I got, I was Gremlins. No surprise there. It was Gremlins, and those paper cases. You remember the paper
Hmm.
cases, and on the edge they had that black thing that flipped, that
I
clicked.
hated
That's
those.
yeah, yeah. They're so annoying. Uh, but there was that Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie, and Swingers,
Swingers was
the
one
one
of my
with
first ones too.
Vince Vaughn. I got all those, and I think it was deep discount DVD. Yeah.
Trying to remember that there was because I remember I had one of those. That was one of my first. In fact, that might have been Stargate. Now that you mention it, I think Stargate was one
Yeah.
of those Warner Brothers, because it was Warner Brothers that really did those with the.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was Stargate's MGM.
Oh,
So yeah.
I can't
Unless, well,
remember.
MGM did the series. I'm assuming they did the movie. Maybe they didn't, but I would think they would.
It's funny because I bought all that stuff online. I wonder if I still have like emails saying, "Hey, this is shipped." You know what I mean? It's like because I still have the same
That'd be
email.
funny. I don't think they would be on the server from 20 years ago, would they?
I don't know, man. I went through. I don't remember when it was, but I went through mine. Oh no, it wouldn't be that long ago because it was a different email back then. Because I think
Hmm.
I got my Gmail in like 2007 or no, it was before that because it was on the podcast.
Goblin says CD now,
CD
and I
now,
remember that one.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, Shag Magnum and Geek Dcast, thank you for the follows.
Are you up to 100?
99.
99. He needs one more follow. One more follow on Twitter, on the twits. So if you guys could go into the description there and give the Order 42 show a nice little follow, we can get our good friend Rob here up to 100 follows and
Hundo. I
above.
started at what, 84? There it is. Malice
There
Fire.
we go. Thank you
Or
guys.
Malice
And
Fire.
yeah, and check out a show. How often do you stream?
I stream typically Wednesdays and Saturdays. Wednesday,
There
I
you go.
mean, it just depends on who's going to be on. Like Wednesdays, typically my entertainment news, so I'll talk movies, games, whatever. And then Saturdays are interviews or kind of hangouts like this. So yeah,
Cool. Wario Waluigi says, did Chatronic drop out of the movie? Yes, he dropped out, unfortunately. His schedule got too busy. Yeah, because these are people that are not professional actors asking them to do a job that is a professional actor, and that is take weeks out of their life to be on a set. So, if you have a job, you have to do a job. It's we can't ask you to put that down or set that aside and come be with us for 3 weeks. Sometimes we'd have to comp them their work. That did happen. We had to comp them their work, but um, not everyone can do that. Especially if they're running their own business. So it just happened. I knew it was going to when we had the idea for the cast. I knew it was going to happen with somebody. So it was really no surprise, and it actually ended up happening with two people. But um, you know, make lemons out of the lemonade. No, make lemonade out of the lemons. And the two people that replaced it, I really can't picture the movie without them. The people that replaced, the people that dropped out. The movie was definitely. I can't say no, not definitely not worse for the replacements. The replacements did an amazing job. So
Paul Owens, thank you for the follow. That's 101. But
101.
I think that's the most amazing thing is that everybody was so scared because of um the Charlie thing, you know? And
Hmm.
I just
I mean, I was too, but it's like I had to cast the Charlie, had to find several major locations, and location scouting is, geez, that is just a crapshoot. And you just don't know how long that can take, and it just takes for longer a lot of times than you even realize, especially when houses drop out. But it's yeah, it's yeah, it's a that.
it's one of those things where I don't know. I don't even know how to. It's kind of like when somebody's when you watch a movie and then they say, "Oh, did you know Christopher Walken was up for Han Solo?" And you're like, "I can't even imagine that." That's
Yeah, and it's not a knock on Christopher
yeah,
Walken. He's great.
but you just can't see that, and that James
Yeah.
Caan and the what's the kid from Greatest American Hero was almost Luke, and you're like, "What?" I mean, I guess I could
Yeah.
see that maybe, but it's so strange. It's so strange when you think of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's how it is with some of these roles in our movie.
But you know what's funny though is if those people were the original ones, then we couldn't imagine anyone else
Right.
in those roles
Right.
either. So,
Of course
you know,
Christopher
your
Walken.
brain, your yeah, your brain maybe so. But yeah, your brain gets used to consuming something a certain way, and it's like yeah, you just can't imagine it any other way. You know, if Chad and the other person were the people that were ended up being the movie, I'd be sitting here saying I couldn't imagine any other person in those places. So it's, you fall in love with what was put on the screen, and you know, you just get invested in what it already is, and it's yeah,
And that's one of those things that's, at least from my perspective, I was literally an outsider. I'm not, I was friends with you guys way before the Game Chasers. So it's one of those things where meeting all of your friends that you've met along the way, and I'm like, oh hey, how's it going? I'm Rob, and I'm friends with them, and they're like, yeah, yeah, and then somebody would be like, hey, you know who that is? And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't know who GameSack is. I don't know who that is. Now I'm a huge fan, but back then I had no idea who he was. And that he was. I mean, seriously, that guy is good at what he does. At
yeah.
least in my opinion. But
Take it easy, Krillin.
but you know what I mean? It's like it's one of those things
Yeah,
where it was so weird for me meeting all those people, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, yeah.
Pucho said his first DVD that he ever saw was Assassins with Sylvester Stallone.
He's not very old, is he?
Pucho? I
Yeah,
think he's around my age. He's around our age.
yeah.
Yeah.
I figured he'd be younger.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm thinking of something else. Sorry, I was looking at that movie and I was thinking of something else that came out like in the 2000s.
I can't remember when Assassins came out. With Antonio Banderas, Julianne Moore.
Yeah,
Yeah. I like that
I
movie.
just got confused for a second.
Ni-
Well, I
95.
wanted to say didn't we see like okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because it's not what I was thinking. What did we see? I want to say we saw like one of the Robert Rodriguez movies, El
Yeah.
Mariachi.
And Desperado.
Yeah, Desperado. Yeah, didn't we watch that at your place?
I'm pretty sure I
Yeah,
know I owned Desperado. Because I mean
yeah,
that movie's awesome.
yeah.
Um but yeah, that might have been right around it's gotta be that had to be one right around that time.
I seriously just for whatever reason that just popped in my head right now. Never even thought about it since then. So
And that was the
that's kind
first
of
time
weird.
I'd ever seen, Danny Trejo. Um, and I think,
Plus Selma Hayek was hot.
That was yeah. I wish I could do a Christopher Walken because Stockatron just wrote a line for Christopher Walken. Can you imagine Christopher Walken talking to Chewbacca? Chewie, your tone's all wrong. Do it again. I'll shoot you with DL-44. I can't do it, but
I'll shoot you with a DSL 44.
it's just I just can't imagine that. Ah, it's so funny to think about.
He just has this constant look of perplexion on his face.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Look, Christopher Walken doesn't have that sly
No.
charisma. He'd be creepy. You know, he plays a good like mob guy. You
Yeah.
know, good mob guy. But that's not Han Solo, obviously.
I was thinking of him in True Romance. Is that
Hey, what's up, Aaron? True. Oh, I love his scene in
oh
True
yeah.
Romance. That's one of the best scenes in it. Yeah.
Bucho. He said traveling through hyperspace ain't like dusting crops. Boy. he like he had the dot dot dots. That's great. Uh that in fact that was one of those things that we used to do on the old podcast. Me and my other two of my other friends, we did a podcast. We would do that where we would just come up with the most ridiculous ideas for recasting Star Wars. Like, oh my
Right.
god,
Yeah.
that was some fun stuff too. But yeah,
I can imagine Obi-Wan Kenobi as Mr. T. Get over here and get your lightsaber, fool.
I was just thinking of the.
I can't go to Alderaan. My uncle's gonna kill me. Fool. The only thing's gonna kill you is pain.
Man, I can't tell you how many times I watched Rocky 3 just for him.
Oh, dude, Rocky 3 is my second
God,
favorite.
it's so good.
I love Mr.
Hey
T.
boy,
Like,
hey boy.
I just, hey boy. He goes, why don't you come down here and see what it's like to be with a real man? Pretty little thing.
I think that's the line that I think about the most is that, hey boy, the way he says that, it just cracks me up. Gilbert Gottfried is Yoda. Huh.
God, I
What is
can't.
this?
Can't.
Uh,
Do not. There is no
just yell
try.
everything. Sam Kinison is Yoda. No. Uh, uh, I'm trying to think. There was one that we loved. It was the Emperor. Somebody playing the Emperor. It was so ridiculous. It might have been like Schwarzenegger or something as the Emperor. Just him. I don't know. I can't remember. But there's so many. You can get so nuts with it. Anyway.
Oh, I'm afraid that the deflector shields will be quite operational when your friends arrive.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he's going down the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put me down.
What are you doing?
That was
Stop it! Stop it, Vader!
Yeah.
he's, he's sitting on the throne. Luke comes up to him. And he's like, "Who is your daddy? And what
You're
does
right.
he do?" Well, he's right there.
That was one of the things that I think Total Recall was the movie where we used to make fun of it all the time because of all of his all the way through the movie. I mean, he does it so much. But yeah. I should have muted. Sorry. You guys remember "Ate My Balls" jokes on internet back in the day with Mr. T? Hey fool, give me your balls. I don't remember that.
Hey fool, give me your balls.
Well, the Mr. T, what was it? The Garmin, the navigation. There was a Mr. T
Oh
voice
yeah,
for
yeah.
that.
See, if I was to do a top 5 on celebs I'd like to meet one day, I don't get starstruck. I just never have. But I probably would if I saw Mr. T, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester
Yeah.
Stallone, and I don't know. I'd have to think about the other
Eric
two,
Estrada.
but those three for sure. Eric Estrada,
Just try to Lee
sure.
Majors. Just
Lee
just old.
Majors, yeah.
I think that would be. I mean, I don't know. I've since I ran into people at like these conventions in the area and stuff like that. Just running into them and just seeing them as people, and that was a lot of that was just cool, and it just kind of made you go, yeah, they're just people. They're just
Yeah.
cool.
So Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's sitting on, somebody gave him the check, gave me an idea, but he's the Emperor, he's Palpatine, he's sitting on there, and they come in to arrest him, and he's like, I am the Senate. And then when Palpatine gets up to do the spin thing, that's when he's like,
Yeah, instead of that weird.
is that roar? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a Jedi who's taking over.
I would
love to see him.
That would have been.
I'm getting
That
weak.
movie would have never worked with all of this.
Yeah, I would have. Arnold can make anything work.
Back in 1983, though, he wasn't too great. He got better as he got older, but
Yeah.
I mean that's why in 1984 they were like, yeah, just give him the robot. He's the Terminator. Yeah.
Yeah. I Alpha Mega Sin in the chat. What's up, man? Arnold. Yeah, Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan would probably be up there. I don't know if I'd freak out with him. I love Jackie Chan. I don't know if I'd freak out with him like I would those other three.
I'm trying to think. Well, for me, it'd be probably Ian McGregor. I'd probably freak out.
Harrison Ford. Yeah, maybe Harrison Ford. I don't know.
I wish I could do the way Mark Hamill does those. It's not that kind of movie, kid. I don't have the low voice to do that. I love that stuff. When he's impersonating him. But yeah, I think Harrison Ford would probably be. I mean, come on. I mean, he's Han, but he's also Indy, and that's.
Yeah.
I loved Indy more than I loved
kid.
the character of Han Solo. I just love Indiana Jones. So
Let's see if I can get it. So you got to channel in his just overall sense of I don't give a fuck.
Yes.
It's not that kind of movie, kid. It's not that kind of movie, kid. I don't know if I can. I don't think I'm projecting enough. I don't give a fuck because it's just there's something about the way Harrison Ford just talks about Star Wars. You could tell it's like the last thing he wants to ever talk about.
I think it'd be fun to meet I almost just called him Lando, but Billy D. Williams. It'd be cool to meet those guys, but it wouldn't be.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It wouldn't be
like
oh my god, it's Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see. At one convention, I ran into, if you're a Star Wars fan, I ran into Dave Filoni, Lou Ferrigno, and Daniel Logan, who played young Boba Fett, all in the same, bam, bam, bam. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, man, that was a cool day,
Yeah.
Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, I met Carrie Fisher, and it was cool and all, but it's like I wasn't over there like, oh my god, And, I might do that on Hamill, but probably not even him.
I know it feels different now. I don't know. I can't explain it.
When you were a kid, that would have been different, of course. But yeah, I can't really. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sly Stallone, those guys have been like they're I don't know, they're otherworldly.
And then like
You know what I mean? It's
what Chris Vaughn, our gaffer, was talking about,
yeah,
and with Schwarzenegger, that he's like the coolest dude, and he's just like, he's just a cool dude.
yeah.
So
Um, Dallas, thank you for backing Dallas. On the release, no, not right now. We don't have any updates on the release. It's all still being worked on. It's all still being worked on every day. So, uh, COVID's just being an asshole.
there's some really, I mean, I shouldn't even say
Was it
anything.
gonna sell it? Oh, it wasn't gonna sell. It was for me. This story always gets told. And I'm sure it was probably Jay or Melvor because they love to perpetuate this idiotic story. But, yeah, I had a figure on card figure of Princess Leia that I had Carrie Fisher sign, and I wanted a picture of her signing it. Not so I could sell. I was keeping this, and I had it in my collection. But the point was, all our fucking knucklehead friends. I didn't want to get accused. We were always trying to bullshit each other. So it's like I didn't want to. Somebody was like, "No, Jay, whatever, man. You wrote that on there yourself." I'd be like, "Oh yeah, have this in my wallet. Look at this motherfucker."
I would have liked to have met Carrie Fisher.
I flirted with her online. She was.
It's it's weird.
I almost slid in those DMs.
It's weird. There was one convention in Dallas where Mark and Carrie did a kind of almost like a panel, I guess you could say,
Hmm.
together. And it was kind of like, Retropalooza, where you're literally just feet away from them. And it was so cool to see them just kind of chatting and
Yeah,
talking away and all that stuff. But I never, because I mean, even at the, gosh, even probably the last 15 years, it's been tough to meet anybody without having to pay first. And they put him in the room in the back. You don't even get to see him unless you pay.
you can't even see them. They did that. They did that with Leonard Nimoy,
Yeah.
William Shatner, and Stan Lee. One of the last few we ever went
Yeah.
to. I didn't even get a visual glimpse of Leonard Nimoy. I'll never. I wanted to see him in person one time
Yeah.
because I've always been a fan of the Star Trek movies, so the old ones and the old show. So I was like, damn. And William Shatner, loved the man. He was my hero growing up.
And then he blocked you.
And then he blocked me on Twitter twice
But
because I called him a chode.
Stockatron said, didn't Carrie Fisher reply back to you?
No, she did. She
Yeah.
flirted back. But, I was like, I'll leave it at that. I'll play it
Yeah.
cool. And I just never got back to it. I forgot.
I remember the only weird interaction I had with one of those big stars on any kind of social media was with Ashton Kutcher, back when he was like the whole Twitter thing was blowing up, and we had like a private conversation back and forth for like an hour, and then he just disappeared, and I was like, "Huh, that was really strange."
Wait, you're in Ashton Kutcher's DMs?
Yeah, at one point. But it was, again, it was one of those.
I admire him. That guy's a good
Oh
good
yeah,
dude.
oh yeah.
He's a good
It's
dude.
weird
Yeah.
because this was back in those days when, you know, I guess Twitter was like nobody really cares how many millions of followers you have anymore. But
Well,
back
okay,
then he
so
was
is
like
it
number one, and it was right around that time, and I'm like, holy crap, this is really strange. He goes, it's not strange. We're just two guys talking or whatever. I don't even remember the conversation. It was something stupid, but it was because I'd replied back to
Mhm.
something, and he replied back to me, and I was just like,
Yeah.
That was really strange.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, that was actually going to lead me to the question. I was like, I was going to ask you what the hell you're talking about, but then I was like, do I want to know? I mean, y'all weren't exchanging nudes
No,
or anything?
no, no, nothing like that. But it was the whole.
Okay.
I don't even remember because it was one of again. It was one of those situations where it was just so. It was like, well, that happened.
You should message him again. Hey, remember back?
Yeah, he would go.
I'm
He would
that
go, who
guy
the hell are you?
that.
Like,
Or just continue the conversation like it never left off. It's like, anyway, as I was
right.
saying.
Hey, sorry, I got distracted.
sorry, I got distracted, life and
Yeah,
all.
for 12 years. So I almost died, and this happened, and blah blah blah. But how's it going?
Okay, yeah, just come back, and this is the first thing you say. You are not gonna believe this.
And he replies back, Rob. I'm sure that's what would happen, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, y'all were on a first
No,
name basis.
I don't
Huh?
even remember what the. Again,
Okay.
I want to say it was something where I felt like I was, because back then I was really trolly, and I had a fake account or a fake, you know what I mean, a burner account, I guess, that didn't like lead back to me.
Okay.
And I would I would.
you would go
Well,
troll.
no, I wouldn't say I was anywhere close to like some of these people online today, but back then I was a lot more trolly than I am today. Like
Yeah.
now I just, if somebody says
Wait,
something mean to me, I'm just like, "Oh man,
channel?
you need a hug?" I'm a different kind of person now.
You just a wise ass.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can still do that, but for the most part, I'm a lot more chill than I was back then. I was a lot angrier back then. A lot weirder.
Angst.
Yeah. Definitely the angst and the oh my god and the now I'm like eh.
Oh my god, I can't believe the bib keep tube.
Yeah, that was me back then. I was really annoying because I couldn't complete a sentence. You believe the bib? uh
God. These are actual conversations that took place.
oh
Back
yeah,
then, by the way.
for sure.
Yeah, these weren't. Yeah.
Well, I mean, gosh, we've been going 2 hours. I
Okay.
don't see any other questions here. I think everybody's just kind of like, yeah, they're just hanging out and chilling.
They're just chilling. And we'll give it about another 10 minutes and probably call it a night.
If you guys have any extra questions for Billy, get him in there. Get him in chat. Oh, and I gotta.
Thank you, Critical Thoughts.
Bucho knows. He says, "When does the Last Jedi segment begin?" I'm like, guys, look, Billy and I, we stand on separate aisles, on the separate sides of the aisle on the Last Jedi. But I believe we both can agree that Disney should have just made a plan at the beginning, and that's really what's important. We both agree that Disney was wrong not to have a plan at the beginning and stick to it.
Yeah.
There you go. Just think it's nice to hear creative people's minds. Oh, well, that's such a nice thing to say. Malice Fire said, just think it's nice to to hear creative people's minds chat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I mean, I guess our rambling is okay.
Yeah.
Our mindless rambling. We can call it art.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Pocketron said, great show, Rob. I'll definitely be stopping by in the future. Man, always welcome. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I just try to come at it from a different point of view, movies and stuff from a different point of view, not such a trolly. I feel like that's the whole internet these days is like, well, this is why this sucks. And I'm like, well, here's the challenges that the Batman faces, that kind of stuff, and try to think about it instead of just angry tweets. Very entertaining. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I like that should be the universal sign for angry tweets.
That.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like, why? You guys You guys need to just chill out, have a, you know, have an apple, take a walk,
An apple.
just your life's too. Oh, life.
Yeah, you put it much more diplomatically. I'll just be like, dude, you just fucking go eat a fucking apple and leave me
I'm
alone,
just like,
you
look,
asshole, or shove it
you
up
need
your
to breathe
ass.
because if this is the worst thing that's going on today, and you're that angry about it, you need to take a walk because
Mm,
trust me, there's worse things out there. Again, perspective. Eh,
yeah, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, you get people out there. I've actually seen the comments. People think that we need to. I'm going to say that, but basically saying that we the most foul things about us imaginable because we kickstarted a movie,
Yeah,
like we're evil people or something because we kickstarted a movie like that. Like it's there's people out there actually, they're committing crimes and doing all this other stuff out there, and you're gonna come after two dudes because they kick started a movie. It's like that's how you're gonna spend your days. Okay.
it's.
Yeah.
I just find it incredibly sad. But it's not just your trolls. There's a lot of them out there that they just they live on hate, and it's just like,
Yeah.
how exhausting. Like I couldn't do that. I mean, I was pretty tame before, but I was still a lot more trolly and more, whatever. In fact, what did yeah, I won't say what I said before to I can't remember her name. She was a I don't even know what she's doing now. She used to be on like ESPN, and it was back when Tosh.0 was a thing. And I tweeted something terrible to her, and
Oh,
yeah,
you should have
oh
done
no,
that.
well, terrible as in bad taste, not like mean, but it was in bad taste. I'll
I'm,
just say it's in bad taste.
I'm gonna write. I'm gonna write your own suicide letter in your own
Yeah,
blood.
but it was one of those. It
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
that bad, but it was in bad taste, and it was like I think back to that and I go, why did I do that? Why? I felt bad. It's like I wonder if everybody
Yeah.
does that. They'll like, oh yeah, well, you shouldn't have kickstarted a movie. You should have gone sell drugs with hookers and then they put their phone down. And they go,
Yeah.
hmm. I mean, is that what? I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't know. It's like they think we're asking like for free money on a to take a
Right.
cruise or something with, or that's what they act like, and it's literally just a pre-order of a
Yeah.
movie. Like how hard is that to understand? You pre-order a movie just like you'd pre-order a movie on Amazon or anything else. Sure, we need to take that money and use it to make the movie, but it's still a fucking pre-order. What's your
I
problem?
guess one of the things that I think it just, especially doing this show, has taught me a lot more about content creation in I guess this
Mhm.
age because podcasting you don't really need much. Like with a audio podcast, there wasn't much to it, but I appreciate the work. You can tell when you watch people's videos. Yeah, they're taking that money and they're putting it right back into the show, and they're using better cameras and they're software for editing and filters and all the stuff that you need, good microphones, good all this stuff that you need. I just don't understand how people expect content, free content, but they don't expect you guys to get paid. I just don't, or to at least be able to live. You know what I mean? I just don't understand that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Well, I mean, YouTube's not a full-time job for me. It's in fact, Tuesday I have to go out and spend all day on a job, a freelance.
mm,
So that one job, the shooting, it's a training video. Not too terribly exciting, but pays.
yeah.
That one time going out and shooting is probably going to be as much as I make on YouTube this month. So, um, yeah, I definitely can't live off of YouTube, and no, that's not my thing. But it helps,
Right.
I do put a lot of, I do count on it as, I guess, supplemental income to help. because I figured, because the freelance stuff is not. I could get one in 1 month and like none in the next 2 months. So you can't count on that for all the time. So it's like it's a balancing act, right?
Right.
So, um, yeah, but that's it's better. I like it better because I get to do my own thing and I don't have to actually do stupid, boring training videos and like just videos for other people and do what they want to do. I get to do what I want to do. And that's something I've always enjoyed. And it's nice to, you put that up there to get paid for the hours and hours you put into it. Yeah. Just like anything
Yeah.
else. It's like we're basically a band, a small independent band, you know, you're not going to get signed to a major record deal or record label. You may not. You may just, you go out to shows, sell tickets, you sell merch, sell your hats, sell your shirts, and that helps you keep going. Um, I like to think that we're not our average YouTube channel. You you know, just do vlogs and stuff. Like I got my vlog channel. It's like I never would think to myself, okay, that's a brand. That's something that's been created. That's something that I could that deserves to be funded or whatever. It doesn't. It's just me in front of a camera or
Right.
whatever. Nobody gives a shit, right? I tried to build with the Game Chasers like an actual product.
Right.
You know, it's a show that's well produced, and we sell merch from it, so you can go to watch it for free, or you can buy the merch, you can buy the Blu-rays and shirts and whatever you want. So it's more of like I guess it's like a band. This channel's always been
I've
like
never thought of it that way,
a
but
band
you're
where it's like, yeah. So we go on shows and hey. No, you can't. Okay, you can have GI Joe's torso. Night night.
I can't actually see them because of the way that this is set up. For some reason,
Oh, we're here.
no, I know
We're
it's
here.
like I was just wondering if anybody
Oh.
else was watching like both streams, like, or were they just
Mm-hmm.
watching you, or it's like I can't see your end because YouTube froze up on me when I tried to do all three things at once. I guess I don't know.
Oh, gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha. But yeah, no, I guess yeah, it's like a band. We're just a small independent band. And yeah, somebody Carbonite says somebody wanted to take Game Chasers and um fake plant games because a TV any sort of like TV network that wanted they're not going to spend the money to take the crew out because like I said before, shooting every day is expensive, and every day you go out there, they're not going to waste thousands of dollars
yeah,
shooting on a day that we're not going to find anything. Oh, sorry guys, wasn't anything at the flea market. That's just the way game chasing go. There, no, absolutely, studio will not waste money. They're going to say, we're going to go out and shoot. You're going to find something, and that's why all these shows are
right,
fake. They're not necessarily fake because that's what the people that creating it want to do, but it's the people that are on top that's like, we're writing the checks. You're gonna, yeah. It's well, I can't say every one of them, but the vast majority of
right.
them. That's why they're fake. Because the studios are not going to waste the time and the money sending film crews out to on the off chance they're going to find something. Time is money, so there's no way our show the way we make it would work on television.
Well, and that's I think not that I have to explain this to your fan base, but maybe the people that are over here that maybe aren't subscribed to you. Um, that's the thing that I love about your show is that you learn a little bit. It's almost like, to me, it's almost like that's one of the reasons why I like Good Eats. On the cooking channel or the whatever channel it's on now, Food Network, whatever, is because you
Yeah.
learn about the stuff, and you learn the techniques or whatever cooking. With your show, you learn about the games and stuff like that, and then your personalities shine through, and that's what people are drawn to. It's not, I mean, yeah, the idea of you finding the cool game, or the oh my god, I can't believe I found this. That's awesome, and that's always a hunt and always a thing. But really, your personalities that people keep coming back for. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, maybe a lot of them. I think it's definitely divided, but yeah, I mean, I think.
Bucho.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh,
Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say Bucho asked a question. It's pretty interesting. What? But I think Bucho is he's up there in that David Rivas territory sometimes. But actually, this is a pretty
Hmm.
interesting one. How old would you want your kid to be before introducing them to Alien/Aliens?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe like 10, 9, 10.
10?
Never really thought about it. Like I don't know. Like it's not something I really thought about. Um, geez, is that too young?
I
9,
don't
10?
know because I remember.
I mean, so here's my thinking. Like, if anything's too scary for them, put their hand over you, like that. That's what I would
See, I
do.
just remember.
Yeah, I'm less when it comes to like fantasy stuff, like aliens, fantasy stuff. I think I'll be a lot more lenient. Like, look, it's just fantasy. But if it's something look is like realistic, like you could see it, like, oh, this is like, you know,
Sounds of the Lambs.
yeah, it's like you really. I mean, if it's far too close to reality, I'd probably be a lot more strict with it than it was if it was okay. This is obviously just a fantasy land, aliens, even though aliens are real. I'm not sure they look like xenomorphs,
Right.
so fine, we'll do it. It's all good. Just cover your eyes because I don't want to be woke up by
And he
nightmares.
said he said he was about 11 when his old man sat him and his 9-year-old brother in front of Alien. That seems
Mm.
to me 9 sounds young. I'm trying to remember. I probably was 11 or 12, I think. Because my dad was trying to edit it. You know how like live sports, somebody will say a curse word and they'll bleep the next word because they're not good enough.
Yeah, because the delay, they don't catch with the
Right.
delay.
That's
Yes,
my
yes.
dad trying to mute aliens or whatever. What the fuck are we gonna do? He just like that's what he would he would miss the curse word and do the next word. I'm like, but what did he say? But
Oh, I forgot about cursing. I was just thinking about like the violent
no, it's just
stuff.
kind of funny that I just
Yeah.
remember that vividly because I learned a lot of curse words that day. Um I'm kidding. Uh but no, it's Aliens was the first one that he showed me, and I remember not liking Alien as much. And then as I've gotten older, Aliens is like the popcorn film, and the Alien is like the real. That's the. Oh, I love that first movie, and it made me love Ridley
Hmm.
Scott.
Have you ever seen It the Terror Beyond Space? Alien is essentially a remake of that
No,
movie. So we were talking about
mm,
remakes earlier. Yeah, It the Terror from Beyond Space.
it the Terror Beyond Space.
Funny enough, I just got it on Blu-ray
Hmm.
about week or so ago. Yeah, but I had it on DVD for the longest time.
I'm writing
Uh,
that down just so I
it's
can
not the
look it
great.
up.
It's not the great. Yeah, it's not the greatest movie, but it is pretty much Alien, minus it coming out of like you know your stomach and stuff. But the spirit of it, the gist of it, is Alien.
Well, Bucho said the same question, but for Pauly Shore movies. That's why I was like, what? He says, I was 11 when
um,
my old man sat me down, my 9-year-old brother in front of Alien, but I was 18 before I saw my first Pauly Shore film. It was also my first Brendan Fraser film. Coincidence? You be the judge.
I don't, something. I don't think I've ever seen a Pauly Shore film, and I think it's because it was a Pauly Shore film.
I saw,
I have never. I think I've seen bits and pieces of Biodome, and
yeah.
look, I like stupid stuff, but I can't. I couldn't handle that.
It is, the Kevin Smith talked about that, about how weirdly fickle people were when it came to Pauly Shore. Because it was like one day it was like everybody was like, yeah, buddy. And then the next day it's like, fuck Pauly Shore. And it's true. The same with Napoleon Dynamite. Like there was a day when you couldn't go a day without hearing, something from that movie, whether it was Pedro or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then one day it was like if you said it, people were like, hey dude, that's not allowed anymore.
Gosh.
You're done. And you're like, but it was funny yesterday. It's just so weird how that stuff happened. Austin Powers is another one.
It's
It's
overkill. People just get sick
but
of
it's
hearing it.
it just gets to that point. It's just weird.
Hmm.
So, idiot. Yeah.
Uncle Rico. You know what's funny is we do have a damn reference to Napoleon Dynamite in the movie.
Yeah, but come on.
You know, and you know which
Yeah.
one it is. Yeah.
It's there's no. That's good. And apparently we put David to sleep because now he's back. He said, "Hello, I just went out." Oh, maybe he means
Oh.
went out like he went outside. Maybe he needed an apple.
Went out.
You know,
He needed an apple. I might get me some peaches later.
Borat. Yeah, the Borat was another one.
Borat.
Eh.
Is that the one where he's riding the bike and as he pedals the dildo goes in your ass?
I don't remember.
Wait, that's not Borat. That's the other one. Bruno.
I never saw Bruno. I never saw it. But
It's pretty
Borat,
good.
man. Oh, my wife. All that stuff. David, he goes, "No, I went outside," and Stockentron said, "Billy still hasn't moved." So,
Mm, I'm stuck. I'm
and
stuck.
he's just like, "Hi, my name is Billy. I like chicken and ham. Yeah." I don't know what that was, and and it probably looked really strange on your side. your people were like, "What?" Yeah. Anyway, but yeah,
Hmm. All right. All right. Well, I can even call it a night,
I
right?
think we're good.
All right.
I mean, 101 followers. Thank you to all of you, and thank you to your amazing fan base. They've been incredibly generous to me, and I really appreciate that. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me on yet
Of
again.
course.
And thank you everyone in the chat that stopped by.
Freaking Revis.
Much appreciated. All right. Cool. No, thank you everyone for stopping by. Who knows? Maybe I'll stream again this week at some point. But thank you, Robbie.
No problem.
And y'all have a good night.
Bye, guys. Johnny Flip Switch. Thank you for the follow.